Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Now we go into our conversation for today. We're looking at rating by Moody's. Moody's is a rating agency, and recently they upgraded Nigerian economy from CAA1 to B3. What that means is that the reforms that is going on by the government is beginning to yield positive results. According to them, our external position is getting very so strong. Of course, where our debt to GDP ratio is also has also improved as well. The tax reform that is ongoing is also one of the policies, part of the policy that was also a review as well by Moody's. But today we are assessing the policies of CBN that is giving investors at Moody's this confidence that actually prompted this economic upgrade for Nigeria. And I'm being joined now via Zoom from Abuja here by Dr. Aliyu Ilias. Aliyu Ilias is a CSA advisory and also is also an economist. Dr. Aliyu Ilias holds PhD in economics, politics, and development studies. He joins me virtually from Abuja here. Good morning, Dr. Aliyu, and happy Eid al-Kabir. We are still in the mood.
Thank you so much. True, we are still in the mood. Thank you for having me.
Good morning, Dr. Aliyu. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
If you can hear me, let's me get your assessment of this rating by Moody's, the rating agency that has upgraded Nigerian economy from CAA1 to B3 positive.
Right. Thank you for having me once again. Basically, I think Moody, being a rating organization, they are yardstick for rating organization. And first thing they are looking at is macroeconomic stability according to them. And they rate based on fiscal transparency, debt sustainability, market.
Have some very technical issue there. Let's go on a very quick break. When we come back, the show continue. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. Dr. Aliyu is back with us now. Good morning again, Dr. Aliyu. I asked earlier that you give us your assessment or what you make of this rating from Moody's agencies, saying that, upgrading Nigerian economy from CAA1 to B3 positive. Hello, Dr. Ali, are you there? We seems to be having some network issue there. We hope that is resolved as quickly as possible so that we can get Dr. Aliyu back online. We're actually looking at the global rating agency talking about Moody's that upgraded Nigeria issuer rating from CAA1 to B3 recently. They hinged their decision on significant improvement in Nigerian external and fiscal positions there. I'm told that Dr. Ali is back. Good morning again, Dr. Aliyu.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right. I asked earlier about the rating agencies. What is your take about the position, being canvassed by Moody that our economy is stable?
Right. I think they are on their own right to actually rate the economy. They are not new in it, but it depends on perspective what they are rating. According to them, they are rating Nigeria based on macroeconomic stability, fiscal transparency, debt sustainability, market-oriented reform, and government commitment. That I agree with them. There is a level of commitment by the government to actually pay debt. We've seen that they actually pay a particular debt. It would have to be what instructs them to say, yes, Nigeria is on a good position.
Seems to be having technical issues there. hearing from Dr. Aliyu. We hope we fix that as quickly as possible. Let's go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll hope that the engineers will fix that, and of course, so that we can continue the conversation. Don't go away. I'm sure you are back. You are with us now via phone. Good morning. All right, if you can hear me, we're talking about issues around Moody's rating agencies and, of course, what it means for Nigerian economy. According to them, we're actually making a lot of progress in terms of our economic reform. What can you say to that? Seems to be having a lot of technical challenges today. We hope that our engineers will actually resolve that as well. Moving on and look at what the rating actually means. It's quite a whole lot for us to look at, because according to Moody's, they actually resolve that based on what the president has done so far, there is more like a very steady economic growth. But they did say that we should have to be consistent. These reforms, in other words, should be continued. It's not something that should be stopped at any point in time for us to be able to enjoy the full benefit of that reform, because according to them, we have a very strong external position there as well. Of course, our fiscal and external position is indeed very, very robust there, according to Moody's rating agencies. Also, part of some of the issues that they have also raised is the fact that our exchange rate has also remained largely stable. And they also talk about the tax reform as well. Quite a whole lot about that as well. I'm being told that we're okay now, that Aliyu Ilias is still there with me via phone. Good morning again, Mr. Aliyu.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Oh, finally, you're here. Let's get your take now about these rating agencies, and of course, what do you make of this, their position, saying that our economic reform is somehow beginning to yield positive results?
Right. Well, I think they're all right. To conclude that we're actually right, because if we look at their indices, one of them is looking at macroeconomic stability of Nigeria economy. Well, if you look at the exchange rate and position of the NPR, I think there's a way we could say that MPC have decided not to adjust on the NPR, and our forex is also within 1.5 to 1. So having paid some debts, especially debt from COVID-19, that also positions us that maybe we are credit worthy. Then they also hinged their decision on the issue of market-oriented reform by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You could see the policy drive that is actually driving at attracting foreign direct investment. Then the question will now be that is the commitment towards external rating, or to look at how Nigeria can actually better. So if you ask me, the rating is just positioning us for better, which is which virtually everybody wants to embark on, whereby they want the external people to see them, or external country, or external positions, to actually attract investment. The question is, are we truly attracting investment? And we also come back home to look at the purchasing power of Nigerians.
Indeed, purchasing power of Nigeria, which is indeed very important. If you look at some of the policies that they say is supporting positive ratings, talking about what the CBN is doing, they are talking about the introduction of what they call the Nigeria Foreign Exchange Code, FS Code, which the CBN did introduce recently. How much of impact do you think that is having on FX stability?
Right. Well, according to the intention of even the CBN, the intention is to look at transparency. Yes, there could be transparency, but how does that translate to reduction of the value of dollar compared to naira. We have not seen that. So until as Nigerians, we see that reflect in the economy, whereby forex is to our favor, unlike now that is around 1,500 to 1,600. That's when we rate them. So for Nigerians, we've not seen the positive impact of the transparency, of the introduction of the code itself.
Are you worried about the lack of compliance across various financial systems?
Well, we've always been saying it over time that our major problem is Nigerian banks, because they are smiling so much that Nigeria is actually at the expense of it. And we have also said it that until they are well policed or well monitored, as it were, that's when we can have a good forex market. So for me, I don't think they have done enough. CBN should go beyond this. They should go with what we call mystery shopper undercover to discover a whole lot of shoddy business going behind, so that we can actually make sure that it is true market we are actually seeing.
All right. Apart from code, FS code as well, we also saw the CBN introducing what we call the electronic foreign exchange matching system, IFEMS now, which they say has proven to be effective in other economies in enhancing the functionality of the foreign exchange market. Can you say that of the Nigerian economy?
Right. So if you look at CBN critically, they have introduced over 35 fiscal framework to contain the challenge of forex, and it's proving abortive and cosmetic in nature. So this one too, it might be working in other systems that have structure, that doesn't have legacy problem, that actually monitor. If we do not monitor our own properly, if we do not make sure that these banks are well monitored and other stakeholder in this area, it will still be a forlorn hope. So until we actually do the right thing, for me, even flotation of naira, I'm not in support of it, because there is no country you go that will subject their forex to willing buyer, willing seller. They must have an element of control over it. So until we control it to an extent, that's where we can get the result.
What about for those who say we cannot control because we don't have enough money to pay subsidy on FX anymore? I mean, many have said that subsidy on FX had make a lot of people richer, even than, some businessmen.
Well, for me, I think it can be structured, and that's where we get it wrong. I find it difficult and appalling to see government always bring an excuse that some people are getting richer. That's what they said about foreign subsidy as well, that some people are getting richer. If they are getting richer, who contains them? Who's responsible to contain them? I think governments should do what they're supposed to do and stop, giving excuse of some people are getting richer. Why not contain and arrest that abusive process for some people? I think we should stop from that excuse and make sure that we do what is needful.
Perhaps some people are bigger than government. Do you think so?
Maybe they are government themselves, I don't know. Because it's quite surprising that every time we keep giving the excuse that some people are richer, why? Who? They said smugglers are taking fuel out of Nigeria. Who is to stop them? Is it custom that is adamant on making sure that citizens pay more, that is supposed to caution and being a watchdog on these people? They have left their primary assignment and they are pursuing what they are not supposed to pursue. So I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should actually come up with a very strong measure to curtail these excesses of people.
All right. There are also some concerns about our export market as well. A lot of people are saying we should export more and, of course, lower our import so that we can earn foreign exchange. In an economy where you don't really produce, what can you export?
Well, even the one we export, it has been discouraged by this government, and that's one of my arguments with this government. This government seems not to prepare for economic advancements in Nigeria, because you see that the gain of President Jonathan through Akiwumi and Moody, and gain of President Muhammadu Buhari and Koboro has been eroded just with a single policy. How do I mean? You could see now that there are serious importation of rice into Nigeria, and the gain we have achieved, most of rice milling company, most farmers now are running at loss because they have open border. Instead of us to strengthen our rice self-sufficiency and exports, we are now opening the border for unnecessary things to actually come in. And that's why I said we need to be strategic in bringing economy to a good repute. If not, if we continue to do cut and join cosmetic solution, we will still have to face it in future.
All right. Some people are actually reacting to the rating as well. Some agree with it, some disagree with it as well. Some say for us to be able to maintain that stability, government should focus on expanding the economy. In other words, we should run an all-inclusive economic activities. How do you think that can be achieved?
Right. So, in economies, there are always ripple effect, and the ripple effect of this actual economy is that yes, as the forex is pretty difficult in Nigeria, it's also a blessing if well maximized. A good example is that people that steal money now find it difficult to take it out of Nigeria. They want to invest it directly in Nigeria. They want to invest in real estate. They want to invest in businesses. So it's an opportunity because export is pretty difficult. You cannot just take things out. It doesn't have much more value. These are the things that we're actually looking at. So it depends on government planning, and this happens with circumstances. Not that that's their intention. There's an economy that actually we call in China. China actually devalued naira intentionally to make sure that you actually get much more import compared to export. So until we understand our strategy properly, I think that's when we can get it right. Because for our forex, I think it's bad policy direction that brings about this, not intentional.
You don't think that this rating in any way positions us for foreign direct investment?
Well, for me, the thing is a positive externalities. Yes, it positions us well before the lenders, if at all. But lenders will not only looking at those things; they also look at the inflation rate. They also look at the volatility and the security. So beyond all what we are trying to paint, they will also have to look at other indices. So in the long run, we will not achieve what we intend to achieve.
Indeed, we may not achieve what we intend to achieve in the long run. But the one thing I want to ask before we wrap up this conversation is that it does look like these rating agencies don't put domestic economy, talking about the microeconomic, into consideration whenever they are whenever they are releasing this kind of report.
The actually agent of IMF, let me say Bretton Woods institutions, their focus is to achieve their own aim. In fact, they are positioning us to come and borrow more. They're telling you that yes, you are good, you can now borrow more. That's what they're trying to say. And borrowing more for us as a Nigerian is not a good thing, especially when we are borrowing to pay pension, which is not a capital-type project. So for me, I think we're just positioning ourselves and actually helping us to amplify our possibility of getting more money, and that will plunge us into more debt.
Talking about borrowing more, the president has forwarded about $21.4 billion request to the National Assembly, for 2025 and, of course, 2026 fiscal year. What do you think National Assembly should be done? Do you just, advise them to expressly approve that level of borrowing at this point in time?
Well, I want them to jettison the one that has to do with pension payments, but anyone that has to do with project ties, because debt itself is not a bad thing if it is project tied. Look at the roadway that have been told. I think those are the example of good debt. Look at the money Buhari also borrowed to fix the railway. Those are the project ties done that in somehow to help the macroeconomy and to help the purchasing power of people. These are good loans. So for me, I think National Assembly should come up to their responsibility and reject anyone that is not projectile loan.
Do you think the kind of assembly you have, which have almost like approved everything that the president sent in, will actually do that?
They seem to make us think Bukola Saraki seems to be the best Senate president, best assembly, because they have the confidence there. But now this one, led by a party who actually doubt it, because it's like it's a party government.
Indeed, party government there. Well, quite a whole lot to talk about, but because of the technical challenges that we had earlier, we've lost quite a whole lot of time. I hope we'll get back again so that we can discuss more on this topic. I must thank you, Dr. Aliyu Ilias, CSA advisory and economist, and of course, Aliyu Ilias holds a PhD in economics, politics, and development studies. I must thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogun.